Jacob McAllister dropped to his knees in the frozen straw, his hands pressing against the woman's chest. Nothing. No heartbeat. No breath. Ice crystals covered her blue lips. Her fingers were still wrapped around her swollen belly, protecting the baby even in death. "Come on," he growled, pressing harder. "Come on, breathe." Behind him, his youngest daughter's voice cut through the howling wind. "Papa, is she the angel I prayed for?" If you want to see how one desperate prayer changes everything, subscribe now and follow this story to the very end. Drop a comment telling me which city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. Montana Territory, December 1881. Willow Creek Ranch. Jacob McAllister hadn't slept in 3 days. He stood at the frost-covered window, watching snow pile against the fence posts. His coffee had gone cold 2 hours ago. Behind him, the fire crackled low, barely enough heat for the small cabin. 5 bodies lay tangled together under quilts near the hearth. His daughters. All 5 of them sleeping in a pile like puppies because the bedroom was too cold and they were too scared to sleep alone. Lily, 3 years old, sucked her thumb in her sleep. She still called for her mama every morning. Rosie, 5, clutched the rag doll Hannah had made before she died. The stuffing leaked from its seams, but Rosie wouldn't let anyone mend it. Grace, 8, had tear tracks on her cheeks. She'd cried herself to sleep again, asking when Mama was coming home. Sarah, 11, slept with her back to everyone. Even unconscious, she kept her distance. Angry. Always angry now. And Beth, 14 years old, his firstborn. She lay awake watching him with her mother's blue eyes. "Papa." "Go back to sleep, Beth." "I can't." She sat up carefully, not disturbing her sisters. "You're standing at the window again." "Just checking the weather." "You're lying." Jacob turned. His daughter looked at him without accusation. Just truth. She'd gotten that from Hannah, the ability to see through every wall he tried to build. "Storm's coming," he said finally. "Big one." "Is that why you're scared?" "I ain't scared." "Your hands are shaking." Jacob looked down. She was right. He set the cup on the windowsill and crossed his arms, hiding the tremor. "Get some sleep, Beth. Long day tomorrow." "It's always a long day." She pulled her blanket around her shoulders and crossed to him. "Papa, do you think Mama can see us from heaven?" His throat closed up. 8 months. 8 months since the typhoid took Hannah, and every mention of her still hit like a bullet to the chest. "I reckon she can." "Then she knows you don't sleep anymore." Beth's voice dropped. "She knows you gave us the bed, and you're using that old blanket in the barn. She knows you only eat after we're finished." "Beth." "She'd be mad at you, Papa." Jacob knelt beside his daughter. Up close, the resemblance to Hannah was almost unbearable. Same stubborn jaw, same knowing eyes, same way of making him feel like a fool, and loved at the same time. "Your mama would understand." "No, she wouldn't." Beth reached into her nightgown pocket and pulled out a folded paper. "She made me promise Papa. Before she died. Made me keep this." Jacob's hands trembled as he took the paper. Hannah's handwriting. Shaky from fever, but still hers. "My dearest Beth, your Papa will try to carry everything alone. Don't let him. He thinks he's strong enough to bear it all. He's not. Nobody is. Watch over him for me. Remind him that it's not weakness to need somebody. Remind him that the girls need a father who's alive, not a ghost walking through the motions. And Beth, my sweet girl, don't let him close his heart. He'll want to. He'll think it's safer. But a closed heart is just a slow death. Make sure he finds someone to love again. Promise me. Your loving Mama." The words blurred. Jacob blinked hard, but the tears came anyway. "I read it every night," Beth whispered. "But Papa, I don't know how to help you. I'm only 14. I'm trying to be Mama for the girls, but I can't. Grace cries every night. Rosie won't eat unless I pretend the spoon is a bird. Sarah won't talk to anyone. And Lily, Her voice cracked. Lily keeps asking when Mama's coming home and I don't know what to tell her anymore. You tell her the truth. The truth makes her cry. Then you hold her while she cries. Beth grabbed his arm. But who holds you, Papa? Who holds you when you cry? Jacob had no answer. I see you. Beth continued, tears streaming now. Late at night when you think we're all asleep. I see you sitting by Mama's grave. I see you talking to her headstone like she can hear you. I see you disappearing a little more every day. Beth, you look at us sometimes like you're already gone, like you're just waiting to follow her. The words hit him like a physical blow. Because she was right. God help him, she was right. I would never leave you girls. Not on purpose. Beth's small hands gripped his shirt. But you're fading, Papa, and I don't know how to stop it. I promised Mama I'd take care of you, but I'm just a kid. I can't do it alone. Jacob gathered her into his arms. She clung to him, this child who'd been forced to grow up too fast, who'd taken on burdens no 14-year-old should carry. I'm sorry, he breathed into her hair. I'm so sorry, Beth. Don't be sorry. Just don't leave us. I won't. Promise. I promise. She pulled back, wiping her face with her sleeve. Her eyes took on a determined look he recognized. Hannah's look, the one that meant she'd made up her mind about something. I'm going to pray. Beth, Mama always said God listens to children because our hearts are still clean. She folded her hands and closed her eyes. Dear God, it's Beth again. I know I ask for a lot. I know I asked you to save Mama and you didn't. But this is different. This is about Papa. Jacob watched his daughter, her small face fierce with concentration. He's dying, God. Not his body, but his soul. He needs help. Real help. The kind that makes him smile again. The kind that makes him want to wake up in the morning. A small voice joined in. Grace had woken up. She crawled over and knelt beside her sister, folding her own hands. Please send somebody, Grace added. An angel or a person or anything. Rosie stirred, rubbing her eyes. What are we doing? Praying for Papa, Beth said. Rosie nodded solemnly and closed her eyes. Dear God, please help Papa. He's sad. Make him not sad. Even Sarah sat up, though she didn't join in. She just watched her 11-year-old face, unreadable. Only Lily stayed asleep, thumb in mouth, oblivious. Amen, Beth finished. She opened her eyes and looked at Jacob. Now we wait. Beth prayers don't work like, yes they do. Her jaw set with her mother's stubbornness. Mama said faith means believing when there's no reason to. I'm believing Papa. You should too. One by one the girls lay back down. Grace curled against Rosie. Sarah turned her back again. Beth kept her eyes open, watching him. Go to sleep, Jacob said softly. You first. Beth. Fine. She closed her eyes. But God's listening, Papa. I know he is. Within minutes her breathing evened out. Jacob stayed on his knees beside his daughters. Hannah's letter clutched in his hand. The fire popped and settled. Wind moaned against the walls. It's not weakness to need somebody. He'd spent 38 years proving he needed no one. Survived the war, built this ranch from nothing, buried his wife with his own hands in frozen ground while his daughters watched. But Beth was right. He was disappearing, becoming a ghost in his own life, a dead man walking among the living. He tucked the letter into his pocket and pulled on his coat. The sheep needed checking before the storm hit. Routine. Something to do with his hands, while his mind tore itself apart. The cold hit him like a wall when he opened the door. Already below zero, and the temperature was still dropping. He'd seen storms like this before. The kind that buried livestock. The kind that froze men solid where they stood. He made his way to the barn boots, crunching through fresh snow. The wind carried strange sounds. Howling, and something else. Something almost like crying. Jacob stopped. Listened. Nothing. Just wind. He kept walking. The barn door hung slightly open. Jacob frowned. He'd latched it himself 3 hours ago. Could have been wind, but the latch was sturdy. He'd built it himself. He pulled the door wider and stepped inside. His sheep stirred nervously in their pens. The horses stamped in their stalls. Something had spooked them. "Easy," Jacob murmured. "Easy now." He moved toward the back corner where he stored the winter feed. His mare Bonnie was stomping and snorting, her eyes rolling white. "What's got into you, girl?" Then he saw it. A shape in the corner, huddled in the straw. At first his mind registered rags. Discarded clothes, maybe. Or a feed sack that had blown in. Then the rags moved. Jacob's heart slammed against his ribs. He grabbed the lantern from its hook, struck a match, held the light forward. A woman. She lay curled on her side, half buried in straw. No coat, no shoes. Her dress was thin cotton torn at the shoulder, soaked through. Ice matted her dark hair. Her skin had gone gray-white. And her hands. Her hands were wrapped around her belly. Swollen. Pregnant. 7, maybe 8 months along. Jesus Christ. Jacob dropped beside her, pressed his fingers to her throat. A pulse. Faint. Thready. But there. "Ma'am? Ma'am, can you hear me?" Nothing. Her lips were blue. Her breathing so shallow he could barely see her chest move. She was dying. Right here in his barn. 3 feet from his sheep. Not again. The words tore from his throat. Not again. Not again. He stripped off his coat and wrapped it around her. Not enough. Nowhere near enough. He needed to get her inside, get her warm. But moving her could kill her just as surely as leaving her here. "Come on." He lifted her. God, she weighed nothing. Like a child. Like Hannah at the end. He cradled her against his chest. Her head lolled against his shoulder. "Stay with me. You hear me. Stay with me." He ran. The distance between barn and cabin had never seemed so far. Snow stung his eyes. Wind tried to rip her from his arms. His bad shoulder screamed with every step. Old war wound that never healed right. He kicked the door open. Beth was already sitting up, eyes wide. "Papa, what?" "Get blankets. All of them. Now." Beth moved without question. Behind her, the other girls stirred, confused and frightened. Jacob carried the woman to the hearth, laid her as close to the fire as he dared. She still wasn't moving. Still wasn't responding. "Is she dead?" Rosie's small voice trembled. "No." Jacob stripped off the woman's frozen dress with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. He'd done this before. Soldiers with frostbite. Men pulled from icy rivers. Wet clothes killed faster than cold air. "She's just very sick. Beth, those blankets." Beth appeared with an armful. Her face was pale but focused. "Is she going to be okay, Papa?" "I don't know." He wrapped the woman in every blanket they had, tucked them tight around her belly. Then he started rubbing her hands, her arms, her feet, trying to force warmth back into flesh that felt like marble. "Grace, get water heating. Sarah, more wood on the fire. Rosie, keep Lily back." The children moved. Even Grace, who'd been crying, ran to the water bucket. Sarah threw logs onto the fire, her face tight with something that might have been fear or might have been anger. Minutes passed. The woman's lips stayed blue. Her breathing stayed faint. Jacob kept rubbing, kept willing heat into her body, kept praying to a God he'd stopped believing in. "Please," he whispered. "Don't do this. Don't die in front of my daughters." Beth knelt beside him. Her small hand covered his. "She's the one, Papa." "What?" "The one I prayed for." Beth's voice held absolute certainty. "God sent her to us. That's why she came to our barn instead of anyone else's." "Beth, she's just a woman who needed shelter." "No." Beth touched the woman's cold cheek with impossible tenderness. "She's our angel. I can feel it." As if in response, the woman's eyelids fluttered. Jacob leaned closer. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" Her eyes opened, dark brown, unfocused, terrified. She tried to scream. No sound came out, just a rasping gasp. Her hands flew to her belly, panic flooding her face. Easy, easy. Jacob caught her wrists gently. You're safe. You're inside. Nobody's going to hurt you. Her eyes darted around the cabin. Fire, children, unfamiliar walls. The terror didn't fade. Where? Her voice came out destroyed, raw from cold. Where am I? Willow Creek Ranch, Montana Territory. I'm Jacob McAllister. Found you in my barn. The baby? She struggled to sit up. Is the baby still? Far as I can tell, you need to stay still. You nearly froze to death. Tears spilled down her cheeks. She was shaking now, violent tremors as her body fought to warm itself. A good sign, actually. Meant she wasn't too far gone. I can't. She choked on the words. I can't go back. Please, please don't send me back. Back where? To him. Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. My husband. The word hung in the air. Jacob felt Beth stiffen beside him. Nobody's sending you anywhere tonight, he said carefully. Storm's too bad. You're staying here. He'll find me. She tried to sit up again. He's been following. I have to go. I have to keep moving. Ma'am. Jacob pressed her shoulder back down. Look outside. You go out there tonight, you die. That baby dies. Whatever you're running from it ain't catching up in this weather. She stared at him, searching his face for something. Lies, maybe. The kind of sweetness that hides cruelty. Why are you helping me? Jacob didn't have an answer. 24 hours ago, he'd been praying for death. Now he was fighting to keep a stranger alive. Because she needs help, Papa. Beth appeared with a cup of warm water. That's what Mama would want. The woman's eyes found Beth. Something shifted in her expression, the fear softening into something else. You have children. 5 daughters? Jacob helped her sit up enough to sip the water. Beth's the oldest. The others are trying to hide behind the woodpile, but ain't doing a great job of it. 4 small faces peeked out. Grace with tear-stained cheeks, Sarah with her arms crossed, Rosie clutching her rag doll, and Lily finally awake, thumb still in her mouth. The woman's tears fell faster now. Different tears. Grief and relief tangled together. I'm sorry, she managed between sips. I didn't mean to intrude. I just saw the barn and I thought, 1 hour, just 1 hour to rest. But then I couldn't get up again. How long were you walking? 4 days. 4. Jacob stared at her. In this cold, without a coat. I had to leave fast. Her jaw tightened. He came home early, caught me packing. I barely got out the door. Your husband did this to you, sent you into the cold like this. He did worse. Her hand touched her cheek, instinctive. Jacob noticed for the first time faded bruising under her jaw, a half-healed cut near her hairline, old scars on her wrists. But I couldn't stay, she continued. Not anymore. Not with the baby coming. He said if it was a girl he'd... She couldn't finish. What's your name? Clara. She hesitated. Clara Whitmore. But please, if anyone comes asking, ain't seen you. Far as anyone knows, this barn's been empty all winter. Her eyes filled again. You don't even know me. Don't need to. He stood suddenly needing distance. This woman Clara, with her bruised face and desperate eyes, she reminded him too much of Hannah in those last days. That same fragile strength. That same determination to survive for someone else's sake. Beth tugged his sleeve. See, Papa? Her voice was barely above a whisper, but fierce with conviction. I told you, God listens. Jacob looked at his daughter, at the stranger by his fire, at his 4 other girls still clustered behind the woodpile watching with wide eyes. Beth took Clara's hand gently. You're safe now. We'll take care of you. Clara's face crumpled. She pulled the girl close, sobbing into her hair. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." Jacob watched them, his daughter holding a stranger, like they'd known each other forever. The other girls creeping closer, their fear fading into curiosity. The wind howled outside, the fire crackled, and somewhere in the darkness, a wolf howled. But inside the cabin, something had shifted, something Jacob couldn't name. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, didn't know if this woman would live, didn't know if her husband would come, didn't know if any of them would survive the winter. But for the first time in 8 months, Jacob McAllister wasn't praying for death. He was praying for morning. Tia. Morning came slow and gray. Jacob hadn't slept. He'd spent the night feeding the fire, checking on Clara, listening to her shallow breathing, praying it wouldn't stop. The girls had drifted off one by one. Beth had fought sleep the longest, keeping vigil beside Clara, until her eyes couldn't stay open anymore. Now, the cabin smelled of wood smoke and something else. Something Jacob hadn't smelled in months. Hope. He hated himself for thinking it. Clara stirred beneath the blankets. Her eyes opened clearer now than the night before. She looked around the cabin, taking in the sleeping children, the dying fire, the man sitting rigid in the chair by the window. "You stayed up all night?" It wasn't a question. Jacob nodded. "You didn't have to do that." "Couldn't sleep anyway." She struggled to sit up. He crossed to help her, his hands gentle despite their roughness. She flinched at his touch, then forced herself still. He noticed, said nothing. "How do you feel?" "Like I got trampled by a horse." She managed a weak smile. "But alive, thanks to you." "Thank Beth. She's the one who prayed." Clara looked at the sleeping girl. Something soft crossed her face. "She's beautiful. They all are. Got their mama's looks. Your wife? Passed 8 months back." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. You didn't know her." The words came out harsher than he intended. Clara dropped her eyes. Jacob cursed himself silently. "I didn't mean—" "It's fine." She pulled the blankets tighter. "You've been through enough without a stranger dumping her troubles on your doorstep. You ain't trouble. You don't know that yet." He looked at her. Really looked. Beneath the exhaustion and fear there was steel, the kind forged by suffering. He recognized it because he saw it in his own mirror every morning. "Tell me about him," Jacob said quietly. "Your husband." Clara's hands went to her belly. "His name is Marcus Whitmore. Owns the First National Bank in Helena. Respectable man, everyone says. Pillar of the community." Her voice flattened. "Church every Sunday. Donates to the orphanage. Tips his hat to ladies on the street. But behind closed doors, he's something else." She lifted her chin, met his eyes. "First time he hit me was 3 weeks after the wedding. Said I'd embarrassed him at a dinner party. Talked too much. Smiled at the wrong man." Jacob's jaw tightened. "I learned to be quiet, to be invisible, to never give him a reason." She laughed, bitter and broken. "Didn't matter. There was always a reason. The soup was too cold. The house was too dusty. I looked at him wrong. Why didn't you leave before?" "Where would I go?" Her eyes flashed with sudden fire. "I've got no family, no money of my own. Everything belongs to him. The law says so. A wife is property, Mr. McAllister, same as a horse or a plow." Lily whimpered in her sleep. Grace curled closer to her sisters. "When did you find out about the baby?" 2 months ago. I thought—" She stopped, swallowed hard. "I thought maybe it would change things, that he'd be different if he had a child. It didn't. He got worse. Said if it was a girl, he'd give it away. Said no daughter of his would grow up weak like her mother." Her voice cracked. "Last week he came home drunk. Started talking about what he'd do if the baby came out wrong, if it was sickly or simple." "What did he say?" "Said he'd rather drown it than raise a burden. Jacob's hands clenched into fists. That's when I knew I had to run. Not for me, for the baby. Clara touched her belly with trembling fingers. I snuck out when he was passed out. Took what I could carry. Started walking. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't stay. 4 days, in this cold. No coat, no food. I found a farmhouse the first night. Begged for shelter. Her voice went hollow. They turned me away. Said they didn't want trouble with Marcus Whitmore. His reach is long, Mr. McAllister. He has friends everywhere, important friends. Not here. You don't understand. He'll come looking. He'll find me eventually, and when he does, let him come. Clara's eyes snapped to his face. What? Jacob leaned forward, his voice low and steady. This is my land, my home. Any man who comes here looking to hurt a pregnant woman is going to have to go through me first. You'd risk that, for a stranger. My wife made me promise something before she died. Jacob's voice roughened. Said I had to keep living. Said I had to believe there was still good worth fighting for. He looked at his sleeping daughters. I ain't been keeping that promise. Been walking around like a dead man, making my children watch their father disappear. He turned back to Clara. But you showing up in my barn, maybe it's a sign. Maybe it ain't. Either way, I ain't turning you out. Clara's tears fell silently. Why? Why would you do this? Because somebody should have helped you a long time ago. Jacob stood. And nobody did. He walked to the window, his back to her, giving her privacy to cry. Outside, the storm had buried everything in white. No tracks, no trails, just empty frozen wilderness. Whatever was coming, it would have to wait. Behind him, Beth's voice rose soft and sleepy. Papa, is she staying? Jacob turned. His daughter had woken, was watching him with hope burning in her eyes. Hope he hadn't seen there in months. Yeah, sweetheart, she's staying. Beth smiled. The first real smile since Hannah died. Good, she said simply. Mama sent her. I know she did. She lay back down and closed her eyes, that smile still on her face. Clara met Jacob's gaze across the room. 2 broken people, 2 shattered lives, connected by a prayer and a blizzard, and something neither of them could name. Thank you, she whispered. Jacob nodded once. Outside, the wind died down. The clouds began to break, and through a gap in the gray sky, a single ray of sunlight fell across the snow. Like a blessing, like a promise, like grace. The days that followed settled into something like routine. Clara grew stronger. Color returned to her cheeks. She started helping around the cabin despite Jacob's protests, mending clothes, stirring pots, teaching Lily how to count using dried beans. The girls took to her like flowers to sun. Lily was the first to break. 3 days after Clara arrived, the little girl crawled into her lap without asking, pressed her ear to Clara's swollen belly, and giggled. It's moving, Papa, the baby's moving. Jacob looked up from the harness he was mending. Clara's eyes were wet, but she was smiling. She likes you, Clara said softly. The baby. She kicks more when you're close. Lily's eyes went wide. It's a girl baby. I think so. I hope so. I want a sister. Lily patted Clara's belly with her small hand. You can share mine. I have 4 already. That's lots. Clara laughed a real laugh, surprised out of her. Jacob realized he'd never heard her laugh before. It changed her whole face. Rosie appeared at Clara's elbow, clutching her rag doll. Miss Clara, can you fix Molly? Her arm came off again. Let me see. Clara examined the doll with serious attention. Oh, this is a bad tear. But I think we can save her. Beth, do you have a needle and thread? I'll get it. Beth was already moving. Within an hour, all 5 girls had gathered around Clara. She mended Rosie's doll. She braided Grace's hair. She listened to Beth read from the family Bible. She let Sarah sit in silence, without trying to force conversation. And Jacob watched. He watched from the corner where he pretended to work on his harness. He watched the way Clara touched each daughter differently, gentle with Lily, patient with Rosie, warm with Grace, respectful with Beth. And with Sarah, she simply existed. No pressure, no demands, just presence. It was exactly what Sarah needed. On the fourth day, Sarah spoke to Clara for the first time. "You ain't our mother." The cabin went silent. Beth's face flushed with embarrassment. Grace looked ready to cry. Even Lily stopped playing. But Clara just nodded. "You're right. I'm not. So don't act like you are." "I won't." Clara met Sarah's hostile gaze without flinching. "I had a mother once. She died when I was about your age. Nobody could replace her. Nobody tried, but it wouldn't have mattered if they did." Sarah's jaw tightened. "Then why are you here?" "Because I had nowhere else to go. Because your father saved my life. Because—" Clara's hand moved to her belly. "Because I'm trying to protect my baby, the way your mother would have protected you." Something flickered in Sarah's eyes. Pain. Recognition. Things an 11-year-old shouldn't understand but did. "Mama died," Sarah said flatly. "She promised she wouldn't, but she did." "I know. She lied." "No." Clara's voice was gentle but firm. "She hoped. That's different." "What's the difference?" "A lie is something you know isn't true. A hope is something you want to be true so badly that you say it out loud, even when you're scared it won't happen." Sarah's chin trembled. Just barely. Then she turned and walked out of the cabin, slamming the door behind her. Beth started to rise. "I'll go. Let her be." Clara stopped her with a hand on her arm. "She needs to feel what she's feeling. Pushing it down only makes it worse." "How do you know?" "Because I pushed mine down for 4 years." Clara's smile was sad. "It nearly killed me." That night, after the girls were asleep, Jacob found Clara sitting by the fire, her hands resting on her belly. "You handled Sarah well today." She looked up. "She's angry." "She's been angry since her mama died." "She's not angry. She's scared." Clara shifted, making room on the bench. Jacob hesitated, then sat. "Anger is easier than fear, easier than grief. If you're angry, you don't have to feel the other things." Speaking from experience. 4 years of it. She stared into the flames. "I was angry at Marcus for a long time. Angry at myself for staying. Angry at God for not saving me. And now I'm just tired." She looked at him. "But less tired than I was. Thanks to you. Thanks to your daughters. They like you." "I like them." A small smile. "Beth is remarkable. 14 years old and running a household. Grace has the kindest heart I've ever seen. Rosie talks enough for 3 children, which I mean as a compliment. Lily is—" She laughed softly. "Lily is a force of nature. And Sarah? Sarah is the one I understand most." Jacob was quiet for a moment. The fire crackled. Outside, wind whispered against the walls. "Hannah would have liked you." Clara's breath caught. "You don't talk about her much." "Hurts too much." "I know." She hesitated. "What was she like?" Jacob closed his eyes. For a long moment he said nothing. Then slowly the words came. "She was stubborn. God, she was stubborn. Once she made up her mind about something, you might as well argue with a fence post. She wanted 5 children. I said 2 was plenty. She said 5, and here we are." Clara smiled. "She sang while she worked. Couldn't carry a tune to save her life, but she sang anyway. She made the best biscuits in Montana Territory. She laughed at her own jokes before she finished telling them." His voice roughened. "She loved those girls more than breathing. Every single one of them was a miracle to her." "She sounds wonderful." "She was." Jacob opened his eyes. "And then she wasn't, just like that. One day she was singing and making biscuits, and the next she was burning with fever. 2 weeks later I was digging her grave. Jacob. I begged God to take me instead, begged him every night. But he didn't listen. He took her and left me here with 5 daughters and no idea how to raise them alone. Clara reached out. Her hand covered his. He didn't pull away. She didn't leave you alone. She left you with them. With Beth and Sarah and Grace and Rosie and Lily. They're her legacy, Jacob. Every one of them has a piece of her. I know. Then you know she's not really gone. He looked at her. This woman who'd walked through hell to reach his barn. Who'd faced down death to save her baby. Who'd somehow in the space of a few days begun to thaw something frozen inside him. Beth prayed for you, he said quietly. The night before you came, she prayed for God to send someone to save me. And you think he sent me? I don't know what I think anymore. He turned his hand over, laced his fingers through hers. But I know I'm glad you're here. Clara's eyes filled with tears. Jacob, you don't have to say anything. I know it's too soon. I know you're married. I'm not. Her voice was fierce. Whatever piece of paper Marcus has, I stopped being his wife the first time he raised his hand to me. I stopped being his wife every time he made me feel worthless. I stopped being his wife the day I walked out his door. The law can go to hell. She squeezed his hand. I'm not going back. Not ever. If Marcus comes here, I'll face him. If he tries to take me, I'll fight. But I am not going back to that house, to that life, to being that woman who was too afraid to breathe. Jacob saw it then. The steel beneath the softness. The survivor beneath the victim. The woman Hannah would have called a kindred spirit. Then you won't. What? You won't go back? He turned to face her fully. You and that baby, you're under my protection now. This is your home for as long as you want it. Anyone who tries to take you is going to have to go through me first. You barely know me. I know enough. Jacob, I know you walked 4 days through a blizzard to save your child. I know you faced down death and won. I know my daughters smile more in the past week than they have in 8 months. His voice dropped. And I know that for the first time since Hannah died, I don't wake up wishing I hadn't. Clara was crying now, silent tears that streamed down her cheeks. I'm broken, she whispered. Marcus broke me. I don't know if I'll ever be whole again. Then we'll be broken together. Jacob lifted her hand to his lips, pressed a kiss to her knuckles. And maybe somehow we'll figure out how to heal. The moment stretched between them, 2 wounded souls reaching for each other in the dark. Then a small voice broke the silence. Papa? They both turned. Beth stood in the doorway of the back room, her eyes wide. Sorry, I didn't mean to. It's all right. Jacob released Clara's hand. What is it? Lily had a nightmare. She's asking for... Beth hesitated. She's asking for Miss Clara. Clara rose immediately. I'll go to her. She crossed to the back room, and Jacob heard her soft voice murmuring comfort, heard Lily's whimpers fade into silence. Beth stood there watching him. You like her? Beth, it's okay, Papa. She came to sit beside him. Mama would want you to be happy. She told me so. I know. Miss Clara is nice. She makes the girls laugh. She makes you laugh. Beth leaned against his shoulder. I think she's supposed to be here. I think this is why I prayed. It's complicated, sweetheart. Love is always complicated. She said it with the certainty of a 14-year-old who read too many books. But it's still love. Jacob put his arm around his daughter and held her close. When did you get so smart? I've always been smart. You just weren't paying attention. He laughed, a real laugh surprised out of him. It felt strange in his chest, almost painful, but good. The second week passed faster than the first. Clara's belly grew. The baby kicked more often, stronger each time. Lily had taken to pressing her ear against Clara's stomach every morning, reporting on the baby's movements like a doctor. She's awake, Miss Clara. She's kicking lots. Maybe she's hungry, Rosie suggested. Babies get hungry. She eats when Miss Clara eats, Beth explained patiently. That's how it works. That's weird. That's nature. Grace had started drawing again. For months after Hannah's death, she'd refused to touch her pencils. Now she filled page after page with pictures of the family. Jacob and the girls, Clara with her round belly. Even the sheep and horses got immortalized. This one's for the baby, Grace said shyly, showing Clara her latest work. For when she's born, so she knows what we all look like. Clara's eyes filled with tears. It's beautiful, Grace. She'll love it. Even Sarah was thawing. She still didn't talk much, but she'd stopped leaving the room when Clara entered. She'd started eating meals at the table instead of in the corner. And once when Clara dropped a spoon and couldn't bend down to get it, Sarah picked it up without being asked. Small things. But Jacob noticed. On the 12th day, the weather cleared. The snow stopped. The clouds parted. Jacob knew it was time to go to town. We need supplies, he told Clara over breakfast. And I need to hear what news is coming out of Helena. Clara went pale. You think Marcus? I don't think anything yet, but I need to know if anyone's been asking about you. I'll come with you. No, his voice was firm. You're 7 months along and not fully recovered. Beth will stay here with you and the girls. Jacob. I'll be back by nightfall. He stood pulled on his coat. Keep the doors locked. Don't let anyone in you don't know. Clara Rose grabbed his arm. What if he's already there? What if he's waiting for you? Jacob looked down at her hand on his arm. Small fingers. Still too thin, but strong. Then I'll handle it. You can't fight a whole town. I don't plan to fight anyone. He covered her hand with his. But I need to know what we're dealing with. I can't protect you if I don't know what's coming. I don't want you to get hurt because of me. I won't. Promise me. He hesitated. Because he couldn't promise that. Couldn't promise anything except that he'd try. I'll come back, he said instead. That's what I can promise. I'll come back to you and the girls. She searched his face for a long moment. Then she nodded. I'll hold you to that. The ride to town took 3 hours. Jacob pushed his horse hard, wanting to get there and back before dark. Miller's Creek wasn't much a general store, a saloon, a church, a blacksmith. A few dozen people who kept to themselves and minded their own business. Jacob had always liked that about the place, but today something felt different. He noticed it as soon as he tied up his horse. People were watching him, not openly, but he could feel their eyes. Whispers followed him down the street. He went to the general store first. Morning, Martha. He tipped his hat to the woman behind the counter. Need some flour, salt, and whatever dried beans you've got. Martha Johnson didn't smile back. Usually she had a warm word for everyone. Today she looked nervous. Mr. McAllister, haven't seen you in a while. Been busy. Storm kept us in. Heard about that. She started gathering his supplies, her movements jerky. Heard about some other things too. Jacob's gut tightened. What kind of things? There was a man here 3 days ago, well-dressed city type, asking questions about a woman. Dark hair, pregnant, might be traveling alone. Martha's eyes flickered to his face and away. Said she was his wife. Said she was sick in the head. Said he needed to find her before she hurt herself. What did you tell him? Nothing. Didn't know anything to tell. She set the flour on the counter. But he left his card at the saloon. Said there'd be a reward for anyone with information. Jacob forced his voice to stay calm. He say where he was heading. West. Said he'd be back. His name, Whitmore. Marcus Whitmore. Martha looked at him directly now. From Helena. Jacob said nothing. His heart was pounding, but he kept his face still. Mr. McAllister. Martha's voice dropped. There's been talk About someone at your place, someone new. Talk from who? Folks who saw smoke from your cabin. More smoke than usual for one man and 5 girls. She bit her lip. I ain't saying nothing to nobody, but other folks might not be so careful. Jacob paid for his supplies and turned to leave. Mr. McAllister. He stopped. That man Whitmore there was something wrong with him. Martha's voice was barely above a whisper. His eyes, cold like a snake. If that woman ran from him, I reckon she had good reason. Jacob nodded once. Thank you, Martha. He walked out into the cold. His mind raced as he loaded the supplies onto his horse. 3 days ago. Marcus had been here 3 days ago. That meant he could be anywhere by now. Could be heading back to Helena. Could be circling around. Could be watching this very moment. Jacob's hand moved to the rifle on his saddle. He scanned the street, the windows, the spaces between buildings. Nothing moved except the wind, but the feeling of being watched didn't go away. He mounted his horse and rode hard for home. The sun was setting when Jacob came over the ridge and saw his cabin. Smoke curled from the chimney. Lamplight glowed in the windows. Everything looked peaceful, but he didn't slow down until he was at the door. Clara? He burst inside, startling everyone. Clara, where? Here. She appeared from the back room, Lily on her hip. What's wrong? What happened? The girls were staring at him. Beth's face had gone white. Papa? Jacob forced himself to calm down. Scaring them wouldn't help. Everyone's fine. He took a breath. I need to talk to Miss Clara. Alone. Beth nodded slowly. Come on, girls. Let's check on the sheep. But it's cold. Put on your coats, now. They filed out, Sarah casting one last suspicious look over her shoulder. Clara set Lily down. Go with your sisters, sweetheart. But... Go. Lily went. As soon as the door closed, Clara turned to Jacob. He's here, isn't he? Marcus is here. He was here, 3 days ago. Came through town asking about you. Jacob crossed to her, took her hands. He's gone now, but he'll be back. Martha at the store, she heard talk. People know there's someone at my place. It won't be long before he puts it together. Clara's face had gone gray. I have to leave. No. Jacob, I won't put your daughters in danger. I said no. He gripped her hands tighter. We talked about this. You're staying. I'm protecting you. Nothing's changed. Everything's changed. He's coming. He'll bring men guns. Let him. You can't fight him alone. Then I won't be alone. Jacob's jaw set. I've got neighbors. Good people who don't take kindly to men who hurt women. I've got Ezra Blackwood, used to be a Texas Ranger. I've got the whole damn valley if I need it. These people don't even know me. They know right from wrong. That's enough. Clara was shaking. Her whole body trembled like a leaf in the wind. You don't understand what he's like. You've never seen him when he's angry. He destroyed a man's business once because the man looked at me too long. Just looked. The man lost everything. His store, his home, his family. Marcus did that with one word to the right people. This ain't Helena. His words don't carry weight here. They carry guns. So do I. She stared at him, tears streaming down her face. Why are you doing this? You have 5 daughters, 5 little girls who need their father. How can you risk everything for someone you barely know? Jacob was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke, his voice rough with emotion. When Hannah got sick, I prayed every night. Begged God to save her. Begged him to take me instead. Begged him to give me a sign, any sign that he was listening. He lifted Clara's chin, forced her to meet his eyes. He didn't answer. She died anyway. And I stopped believing, stopped praying, stopped hoping for anything. Clara's tears fell faster. Then Beth prayed for me. Prayed for God to send someone to save me. And the next morning, you were in my barn, freezing, dying, but there." His voice cracked. "You want to know why I'm doing this? Because maybe this is my answer. Maybe you're my answer. Maybe after all these months of silence, God finally sent me something worth fighting for. Jacob." "I ain't letting you go, Clara. Not to Marcus. Not to fear. Not to anything." He pulled her close, wrapped his arms around her. "You're mine now. Mine to protect. Mine to care for. And I will burn down the whole damn territory before I let anyone take you away." She sobbed against his chest. Great wrenching sobs that shook her whole body. He held her through it, stroking her hair, murmuring comfort. "I'm scared," she whispered finally. "I'm so scared." "I know. I'm scared too." "You are terrified." He kissed the top of her head. "But I'd rather be scared and fighting than safe and alone. Wouldn't you?" She pulled back, looked up at him. Her eyes were red, her face streaked with tears. But she was smiling. "Yes," she whispered. "I would." The door burst open. Lily tumbled in, followed by her sisters. "Papa, it's cold. Can we come back in now?" Jacob laughed. The tension broke like a fever. "Yeah, sweetheart, come on in." The girls piled inside, bringing cold air and chatter and life. Beth's eyes found Jacob's face, asking a silent question. He nodded once. Later. He'd explain later. "Miss Clara." Lily pulled at Clara's hand. "The baby kicked while you were talking. Beth felt it." "Did she now?" "She's gonna come soon, right?" "When's she gonna come?" "Not for a while yet, sweetheart." "But I want her now." "Lily." Sarah's voice cut through. Everyone went quiet. The 11-year-old was looking at Clara with an expression Jacob couldn't read. "Are you okay?" Clara blinked. "Yes, I'm fine." "You've been crying." "I have." "Why?" Clara glanced at Jacob. He gave her a small nod. "Because I'm scared," Clara said simply. "And sometimes when people are scared, they cry." Sarah considered this. "What are you scared of?" "Something that might happen. Something bad." "Like Mama getting sick." "Something like that." Sarah was quiet for a long moment. The other girls held their breath. "Papa's not gonna let anything bad happen to you," Sarah said finally. "He didn't let anything bad happen to us. Even when Mama died, he kept us safe." Clara's eyes welled up again. "I know he will. So stop crying." Sarah's voice was gruff, but her eyes were soft. "Crying doesn't help anything. Mama said that. Your mama was a smart woman." "Yeah." For the first time in months, something like a smile crossed Sarah's face. She was. That night after the girls were asleep, Jacob sat with Clara by the fire. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. They just sat shoulder to shoulder watching the flames dance. Clara's head drooped against his shoulder. Her breathing slowed. Jacob stayed awake, watching over her, watching over all of them. Outside, the wind picked up. Somewhere in the distance, a wolf howled. But inside the cabin, his family slept. Safe. Warm. Together. He thought of Marcus Whitmore out there in the dark. Hunting. Searching. Let him come, Jacob thought. Let him bring his money and his men and his cold snake eyes. He'd find something he wasn't expecting. He'd find a man with nothing left to lose and everything to protect. 3 days passed in tense silence. Jacob barely slept. He checked the windows every hour, kept his rifle within arm's reach, jumped at every sound outside the cabin. Clara watched him with worried eyes, but said nothing. The girls felt it too. Even Lily, who usually chattered nonstop, grew quiet. Beth took over more of the household duties, keeping her sisters busy and distracted. Sarah stood guard at the window when Jacob went to tend the sheep. On the 4th morning, Ezra Blackwood rode up to the cabin. Jacob met him on the porch, rifle in hand. "Easy, son." The old man raised both hands. Just me. Ezra. Jacob lowered the weapon. What brings you out this way? Heard some troubling news in town. Ezra dismounted, his weathered face grim. Figured you should know. Come inside. It's cold. Clara looked up when they entered, fear flashing in her eyes. Jacob shook his head slightly. Not yet. Miss. Ezra tipped his hat. You must be the woman causing all the fuss. Clara stiffened. I don't know what you... Relax. I ain't here to make trouble. He settled into a chair by the fire, his old bones creaking. I'm here because trouble's coming whether you want it or not. What did you hear? Jacob asked. Man named Whitmore's been making noise in Helena, hiring men, offering rewards. Word is he's planning to ride out this way with a small army. Clara's hand flew to her belly. How many men? 6, maybe more. Professional types, the kind who ask questions with their fists. When? Soon. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tonight. Ezra looked at Jacob. You got a plan. Working on one. That ain't reassuring. Best I can do. Jacob ran a hand through his hair. I was hoping to have more time. Time's a luxury when men like Whitmore are involved. Ezra leaned forward. I did some digging, Jacob. This ain't the first time he's come after a wife who ran. Clara went white. What do you mean? 3 women before you. All married to him. All died under mysterious circumstances. Ezra's voice was flat. First one fell down the stairs. Second one drowned in the bath. Third one supposedly shot herself. Oh, God. Clara sank into a chair, her legs giving out. All of them were pregnant when they died. Jacob felt his blood turn to ice. He killed them. That's my guess. Never proved, of course. Whitmore's got powerful friends. Judges, lawyers, politicians. Nobody looked too close at the evidence. Why are you telling us this? Clara's voice was barely a whisper. Because if he takes you back, you're dead. Ezra met her eyes. And that baby with you. He don't want a wife. He wants property. Something he owns. Something that can't leave him. Clara was shaking. Jacob crossed to her, put his hand on her shoulder. He's not taking her. 1 man against 6 ain't good odds. Then I'll find more men. Ezra smiled grimly. Thought you might say that. That's why I'm here. You. I was a Texas Ranger for 20 years, son. Put down men worse than Marcus Whitmore. I ain't too old to do it again. He stood, his joints popping. Besides, I got a personal stake in this. What do you mean? My daughter. Ezra's face hardened. Worked for Whitmore 3 years back. Came home with bruises she wouldn't explain. Quit after 2 months and never said why. But I knew. I always knew. Clara looked up. I'm sorry. Don't be. Just let me help put this son of a bitch where he belongs. Jacob extended his hand. Ezra shook it. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. We got work to do. They spent the day preparing. Ezra rode to neighboring ranches, calling in favors, spreading the word. By evening, 4 more men had arrived: Tom Henderson from the North Ridge, his 2 sons, and old Samuel Gray, whose wife had died the same year as Hannah. They gathered in Jacob's cabin, crowded around the small table. Clara served coffee with trembling hands. The girls stayed in the back room, Beth keeping watch over her sisters. 6 of us against maybe 8 of them, Tom said, rubbing his beard. I've seen worse odds. They'll have better guns, his older son pointed out. City types always do. Better guns don't mean better aim. Samuel spit into the fire. I've shot deer at 300 yards. These fellas probably never fired at anything that moved. Don't underestimate them. Ezra's voice cut through. They're hired guns, not businessmen. Whitmore picked them for a reason. So what's the plan? Everyone looked at Jacob. He took a deep breath. This wasn't what he'd wanted, wasn't what he'd imagined when Clara stumbled into his barn. But here they were. They'll come from the main road, only way to get wagons through. That means they'll pass the old Miller place before they reach us. Abandoned since last winter, Tom confirmed. We position men there, 2 in the barn, 2 in the house. Let them pass, then close in behind. They'll be caught between us. And the rest, here, with me. Jacob's jaw tightened. They want Clara. They'll have to come to the cabin to get her. When they do, they'll be surrounded. What about the women and children? Samuel asked. There's a root cellar under the cabin, trap door in the back room. It leads to a tunnel that comes out by the creek. Jacob looked at Clara. If things go bad, you take the girls and run. Jacob, promise me. She stared at him for a long moment. Then slowly she nodded. I promise. Good. He turned back to the men. We don't shoot first. Understand, I want to give them the chance to walk away. And if they don't, then we do what we have to. The men dispersed to their positions just before midnight. Tom and his sons took the Miller place. Samuel and Ezra stayed at the cabin with Jacob. Clara sat by the fire, unable to sleep. The girls had finally drifted off exhausted by fear and confusion. Beth had wanted to stay up to help somehow, but Jacob had insisted. You're 14, sweetheart. This ain't your fight. It's our family. That makes it my fight. Then protect your sisters. That's your job. If I tell you to run, you run. You take them to the cellar, and you don't stop until you reach safety. Can you do that? Beth's eyes had filled with tears, but she'd nodded. Now she slept with her sisters, one arm around Lily, the other reaching toward Sarah. Jacob stood at the window watching the dark. You should rest. Clara's voice was soft. Can't. You'll need your strength. I'll be fine. He didn't turn around. You're the one who should be resting. That baby's coming soon. Not that soon. How do you know? Women know these things. He finally looked at her. She was pale in the firelight, her hands folded over her belly. Even now, even terrified, she was beautiful. I'm sorry, he said quietly. For what? For bringing this on you. On my daughters. You didn't bring anything. Marcus did. He's the one who can't let go. He's the one who'd rather destroy me than see me happy. She stood cross to him. You saved my life, Jacob. You gave me a home, a family. Whatever happens tomorrow, I don't regret any of it. Clara, I love you. The words hung in the air between them. I know it's too soon. I know we barely know each other. But I love you. I've loved you since that first night when you carried me through the snow, when you looked at me like I was worth saving. Jacob's throat tightened. You are worth saving. Marcus made me believe I wasn't. For 4 years he made me believe I was nothing, that nobody would ever want me, that I was lucky to have him because no one else would take me. He lied. I know that now. She touched his face, her fingers gentle on his stubbled cheek. You showed me. Your daughters showed me. This whole crazy, broken, beautiful family showed me. I love you too. The words came out rough, scraped from somewhere deep inside. I didn't think I could. After Hannah, I thought that part of me was dead. But you... He pulled her close, pressed his forehead to hers. You brought me back. Then we saved each other. Reckon we did. He kissed her. Soft at first, then deeper. She melted against him, her belly pressed between them. Somewhere inside, the baby kicked. They both laughed, breaking apart. She's got opinions, Clara said, wiping her eyes. Wonder where she gets that? Probably from all 5 of her sisters. Jacob felt his heart swell. You mean that about the girls? They're mine now, just like this baby is yours. Clara's voice was fierce. Family isn't about blood, Jacob. It's about choice. And I choose them. All of them. Behind them, a small voice spoke. Really? They turned. Sarah stood in the doorway of the back room, her face uncertain. Sarah. Clara stepped toward her. I thought you were asleep. I heard everything. Sarah's chin trembled. You really? You really want us. Even me. Especially you. Clara knelt down, putting herself at Sarah's eye level. I know I'm not your mama. I'll never try to replace her. But if you'll let me, I'd like to love you. If you'll let me, I'd like to be part of your family. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then slowly she walked forward. And for the first time since Hannah died, she let someone hold her. Clara wrapped her arms around the girl, and Sarah clung to her, sobbing quietly. I miss her so much. I know, sweetheart, I know. I've been so angry. That's okay. You're allowed to be angry. But I don't want to be angry anymore. Sarah pulled back, her face wet. I want. What do you want? I want a family again. A real family. Clara smiled through her own tears. Then that's what we'll be? Jacob watched them, his chest aching with something he couldn't name. Love, maybe. Hope. The feeling that despite everything, something good was happening here. Then Samuel's voice came from outside. Riders coming. Everything changed in an instant. Jacob grabbed his rifle. How many? Can't tell yet. Coming from the main road. Fast. Clara, get the girls. Now. Clara released Sarah. Go wake your sisters. Quietly. Don't scare Lily. But do it, Sarah. Now. Sarah ran. Jacob pressed a quick kiss to Clara's forehead. Remember what I said. If things go bad, I know. She grabbed his hand. Come back to me. Always. He stepped onto the porch. The night was clear and cold. Moonlight reflected off the snow, bright enough to see. Riders approached. 6 of them. No 7. They rode in formation, professional and deliberate. Samuel and Ezra took positions on either side of the porch, rifles ready. Remember, Jacob said quietly, don't fire first. Understood. The riders stopped 50 yards from the cabin. One of them moved forward, a well-dressed man on a fine horse. Even in the moonlight, Jacob could see his cold eyes, his confident smile. Marcus Whitmore. Mr. McAllister, I presume? Jacob's grip tightened on his rifle. You're on my land. So I am. And you have something that belongs to me. There's nothing here that belongs to you. My wife would disagree. Marcus dismounted slowly, brushing snow from his expensive coat. Adeline. That's what she calls herself now, isn't it? Though her real name is Clara. Clara Whitmore. My wife. Not anymore. The law says differently. Marcus took a step forward. She made vows. Before God and witnesses, till death do us part. Those words mean something, Mr. McAllister. So does love, honor, and cherish. You broke those vows the first time you raised your hand to her. Marcus's smile flickered. She's been telling stories. Women do that. They exaggerate. They twist things to make themselves look like victims. The bruises on her face weren't exaggerated. An accident. She fell. Into your fist. The hired guns shifted hands, moving toward their weapons. Marcus raised a hand, stopping them. I didn't come here to fight Mr. McAllister. I came to collect what's mine. Give me Clara and the child she's carrying and we'll ride out of here. No harm done. And if I don't, Marcus's eyes went cold. Then harm will be done. Quite a lot of it. Jacob felt the fear in his gut, but he didn't let it show. You know what I think, Whitmore? I think you're scared. Excuse me? Scared that she got away. Scared that she's happy without you. Scared that a woman you thought was property turned out to be stronger than you'll ever be. Marcus's face twisted. You don't know what you're talking about. I know about the others, the 3 women before Clara. I know what happened to them. For the first time, something like worry crossed Marcus's face. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth. You killed them, all of them, and you would have killed Clara too if she hadn't run. You can't prove any of that. Maybe not, but I can keep her safe from you, and I will. Jacob raised his rifle. So here's my counteroffer. You turn around right now, ride back to Helena, and never come near this ranch again. Do that, and you might live to see morning. Marcus laughed. You're outnumbered, McAllister. 7 against 3. Even a fool can do that math. Your math's wrong. A voice came from behind the riders. Tom Henderson stepped out of the darkness, rifle aimed. Evening, gentlemen. His sons appeared from the other side, flanking the hired guns. Looks like we got ourselves a situation, Tom's older son said. The riders spun confusion on their faces. They were surrounded. Marcus's confident smile finally cracked. This changes nothing. These are my legal employees and Clara is my legal wife. Any violence against us is a crime. Legal wife. A new voice cut through the night. Old Martha Johnson stepped forward, wrapped in a heavy shawl. I've been listening to this conversation from behind that tree, Mr. Whitmore, and I recall you telling me in town that your wife was sick in the head. Couldn't be trusted. Now you're claiming she's legally yours. Mrs. Johnson. I also recall hearing about those other wives of yours, the ones who died so tragically. Martha's voice dripped with contempt. Funny how many accidents happen around you. More figures emerged from the darkness. The Miller family. The Grays. People Jacob hadn't even asked. People who'd come anyway. We don't take kindly to men who hurt women in this valley, Tom said. Never have, never will. This is mob justice. No. Ezra stepped forward, his old face hard as granite. This is protection. Something you clearly don't understand. Marcus looked around at the faces surrounding him. Ranchers, farmers, ordinary people. But their eyes held something dangerous, a cold determination that money couldn't buy and fear couldn't break. You're making a mistake, Marcus said, his voice losing its smoothness. I have connections, powerful connections. I'll have every one of you arrested. For what? Jacob lowered his rifle but didn't release it. Defending a pregnant woman from an armed invasion. Go ahead, make that case to a judge, see how it plays. One of the hired guns spoke up. Mr. Whitmore, maybe we should... Shut up. But sir, this wasn't what we signed up for. You said it would be easy, one man and some kids. I said shut up. The hired gun shook his head. Not worth dying over some woman. I'm out. He turned his horse. Another one followed, then a third. Within seconds, Marcus was left with only 2 men, both of them looking nervous. Cowards! Marcus's voice cracked. I'll have you all blacklisted. You'll never work again. Nobody listened. The hired guns rode off into the night without looking back. Marcus stood alone, his 2 remaining men fidgeting on their horses. It's over, Whitmore. Jacob's voice was calm. You've got nothing, no army, no leverage, just a lot of witnesses to your threats. This isn't over. Yeah, it is. Jacob took a step forward. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to get on your horse. You're going to ride back to Helena. And you're going to forget that Clara Whitmore ever existed. I'll never... If you ever come near her again, if you ever send men after her, if you ever so much as think about her, I will find you, and I will end you. Jacob's voice dropped to a growl. Do we understand each other? Marcus stared at him. The hatred in his eyes was terrible, bottomless. But underneath it, Jacob saw something else. Fear. This isn't over, Marcus repeated. But his voice shook. Yes, it is. Jacob raised his rifle, pointed it at Marcus's chest. Now get off my land, before I change my mind about letting you leave. For a long, terrible moment, nothing moved. Then, Marcus mounted his horse. His 2 remaining men followed. You'll regret this, McAllister. I swear to God you'll regret this. The only thing I regret is not pulling this trigger. Marcus wheeled his horse and rode into the darkness. His men followed their hoofbeats, fading into the night. Jacob stood there watching until even the sound disappeared. Then his legs gave out. He sat down hard in the snow, his whole body shaking. The rifle slipped from his nerveless fingers. "Jacob!" Clara's voice. She was running from the cabin, her belly swaying. "Jacob, are you hurt?" "No." He caught her before she could fall. "I'm fine. I know." She was crying, laughing both at once. "I know." The neighbors gathered around, slapping Jacob on the back, congratulating him. But he barely heard them. All he could see was Clara's face. All he could feel was her arms around him. "It's over," she whispered. "It's really over." "Not yet." Jacob pulled back, looked toward the cabin. "There's still one thing I need to do." "What?" He took her hand and walked to the porch where 5 small faces watched from the window. "Girls," he called, "come out here." They filed out one by one. Beth first, then Sarah, then Grace, and Rosie. Lily came last, clutching her blanket. "Is the bad man gone, Papa?" Lily asked. "He's gone, sweetheart." "Is he coming back?" "No." Jacob knelt down so he was at eye level with his daughters. All 5 of them watching him with their mother's eyes. "He's never coming back. We're safe now. All of us." "Including Miss Clara?" Grace asked. "Including Miss Clara." Jacob looked up at the woman standing beside him. "In fact, I was hoping Miss Clara might want to stay. Permanently." Clara's breath caught. "Jacob, what are you?" "I know we haven't known each other long. I know there's still a lot we don't know about each other. But I know I love you. I know my daughters love you. And I know I want to spend the rest of my life proving that you made the right choice when you stumbled into my barn." He reached into his pocket and pulled out something small. A ring. Simple gold worn smooth by years of wear. This was Hannah's. She told me once if anything ever happened to her, she wanted me to find someone else to wear it. Someone who would love our girls as much as she did. Clara was crying openly now. "Clara Whitmore, or whatever name you want to take, will you marry me?" The girls held their breath. Clara looked at the ring, then at Jacob, then at the 5 faces watching her with desperate hope. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, 1,000 times, yes." Lily cheered. Grace clapped. Even Sarah was smiling. Beth stepped forward and hugged Clara fiercely. "I knew it," she said. "I knew God would answer my prayer." "He did more than that," Clara said, holding her tight. "He gave me a family." Above them the clouds parted. Moonlight spilled across the snow, turning the world silver. And somewhere Jacob was sure Hannah was smiling. 2 weeks passed like water through fingers. The snow began to melt. The days grew longer. And Clara's belly grew bigger with each passing hour. Jacob watched her, constantly worried about every wince, every groan, every hand pressed to her lower back. She caught him staring more than once. "I'm fine, Jacob." "You're huge." "Thank you for that lovely observation." "I didn't mean—" "I know what you meant." She smiled, patting his cheek. "Stop worrying. Women have been having babies since the beginning of time. Women have been dying having babies since the beginning of time, too." The words came out before he could stop them. Clara's smile faded. "Jacob. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that." "No, you shouldn't have." But her voice was gentle. "But I understand why you did." She took his hand, pressed it to her belly. The baby kicked against his palm. "Feel that she's strong. She's ready. And so am I." "How do you know it's a girl?" "I just know." Clara's eyes softened. "The same way I knew walking into your barn was the right thing to do. The same way I knew you were worth trusting." "You could have been wrong about me." "But I wasn't." She kissed him softly. "And I'm not wrong about this either." The girls had thrown themselves into wedding preparations with terrifying enthusiasm. Beth took charge of the planning, making lists, and assigning tasks with military precision. Sarah helped clean the cabin from top to bottom, scrubbing floors and washing windows until everything gleamed. Grace made decorations from dried flowers and ribbon scraps. Rosie practiced throwing imaginary petals down an imaginary aisle, and Lily appointed herself official taste tester for everything Martha Johnson brought over from town. "This pie is good," Lily announced solemnly, her face covered in blueberry. "The baby will like it." "The baby can't eat pie yet, silly," Rosie said. "Can too." "Cannot." "Girls," Clara's voice cut through. "Both of you outside. Go help your father with the sheep." They ran off, still arguing. Clara sank into a chair, her hand pressed to her back. Beth appeared instantly. "Are you okay? Is it time? Should I get Papa?" "I'm fine, sweetheart, just tired." "You should rest." "I've been resting for 2 weeks. Any more rest, and I'll turn into furniture." Beth smiled, but her eyes stayed worried. She'd been watching Clara as closely as Jacob had. "Beth." Clara patted the chair beside her. "Sit with me." Beth sat. "I want to talk to you about something." "What?" "When the baby comes." Clara hesitated. "Things might get scary for a little while. I need you to know that's normal. Babies don't come easy. There's pain and mess and a lot of noise." "I know. I was there when Lily was born." "That's right. You were." Clara took her hand. "So you know what to expect, and I need you to help the others understand. Keep them calm. Keep them busy. Can you do that?" "Of course." "And Beth," Clara's voice dropped, "if something goes wrong—" "Nothing's going to go wrong." "But if it does—" Clara squeezed her hand. "I need you to know how much you mean to me. How much all of you mean to me. These past weeks have been the happiest of my life." "Miss Clara, let me finish." Clara's eyes were bright with unshed tears. "Your mother was an amazing woman. I can see her in every one of you, in Beth's strength, in Sarah's fire, in Grace's kindness, in Rosie's joy, in Lily's stubbornness." Beth laughed despite herself. "I could never replace her. I wouldn't try. But I hope I can honor her by loving you all as much as she did." Clara touched Beth's face. "You especially. You've had to grow up so fast. You've carried burdens no 14-year-old should carry. But you did it with grace and courage. Your mother would be so proud." "You really think so?" "I know so." Clara smiled. "And I'm proud too. Proud to call you my daughter, if you'll have me." Beth's eyes filled with tears. She threw her arms around Clara, hugging her as tight as she dared. "I'll have you," she whispered. "We all will." They held each other for a long moment. Two women, one barely more than a girl, bound together by something stronger than blood. Then Clara gasped. "Miss Clara, I'm fine." But her face had gone pale. "Just, the baby kicked. Hard." Beth pulled back her eyes, searching Clara's face. "Are you sure that's all it was?" "I'm sure." Clara forced a smile. "Go check on your sisters. Make sure Lily hasn't eaten all the pie." Beth went, but she looked back twice before closing the door. Clara waited until she was alone. Then she pressed both hands to her belly and breathed through the pain. Not yet, she thought. Please, not yet. Just a few more days. But the baby had other plans. It happened 3 nights later. Clara woke in the darkness, her nightgown soaked. For a moment she didn't understand. Then another pain hit sharp and deep, and she knew. Jacob. He was awake instantly. "What is it? What's wrong?" "The baby." She gripped his arm. "The baby's coming. Now, but it's too early. You said—" "I know what I said." Another contraction stole her breath. "The baby has different ideas." Jacob leaped out of bed, nearly tripping over his own feet. "Beth! Beth, wake up!" Beth appeared in the doorway within seconds, already alert. "Is it time?" "It's time." Clara struggled to sit up. "Get water boiling, all of it. And clean cloths, as many as you can find." "What about the doctor?" "There's no time." Jacob pulled on his boots, his hands shaking. The nearest doctor is 6 miles away. The baby will be here before he could get halfway. Then what do? We do it ourselves. Clara's voice was strained but steady. Beth, you've seen a birth before. I need you to help me. I was 7 years old. You remember enough. I'll talk you through the rest. Another contraction hit. Clara gritted her teeth. Go, now. We don't have much time. The next hours blurred into a haze of pain and fear and desperate hope. Jacob found himself useless. This was women's work, and he knew nothing about it. He paced the main room like a caged animal, while Beth and Martha Johnson, summoned by Sarah who'd run the mile to her house in her nightgown, worked in the back room. Clara's screams tore through the cabin. Each one felt like a knife in Jacob's chest. Papa? Grace tugged at his sleeve. Is Miss Clara going to die? No. The word came out harsher than he intended. No, sweetheart. She's going to be fine. She sounds like she's hurting. Having babies hurts, but it's a good hurt. It means the baby's coming. I don't like it. Neither do I. Sarah stood at the window arms crossed face tight. She hadn't said a word since Clara's labor started. Jacob recognized that look, the same look she'd worn when Hannah was dying. Terror disguised as anger. Sarah. She didn't turn. Sarah, look at me. Slowly she turned. Her eyes were dry, but her chin trembled. She's going to be okay, Jacob said. Clara's strong. The baby's strong. They're both going to be okay. You don't know that. No. I don't. He crossed to her, put his hand on her shoulder. But I believe it. And right now believing is all we can do. I prayed for Mama. Believed she'd get better. She didn't. I know. What if it happens again? Sarah's voice cracked. What if Clara dies too? What if we lose everyone who loves us? Jacob pulled her into his arms. She resisted for a moment, then collapsed against him, sobbing. I can't do it again, Papa. I can't. You won't have to. You can't promise that. No. He stroked her hair. But I can promise that whatever happens, you won't face it alone. We're a family, Sarah. We stick together, no matter what. Rosie appeared, clutching Lily's hand. Both of them had tears on their faces. We're scared, Papa. Jacob opened his arms wider. Come here, all of you. They gathered around him, Sarah and Grace and Rosie and Lily. 4 small bodies pressed against his seeking comfort he wasn't sure he could give. But he held them anyway, because that's what fathers did. From the back room, Clara screamed again. Longer this time, more desperate. Then silence. Jacob's heart stopped. The silence stretched. 1 second, 2, an eternity. Then a different sound broke through. Crying. High and thin and furious. A baby's cry. Oh, thank God. Jacob's legs gave out. He sat down hard on the floor, his daughters still clinging to him. The back room door opened. Beth appeared, her face exhausted but radiant. It's a girl, she said. A healthy baby girl. Jacob couldn't speak. His throat had closed completely. Can we see her? Grace asked. In a minute. Mrs. Johnson is cleaning her up. Is Miss Clara okay? Sarah's voice was small. Beth smiled. She's perfect, tired but perfect. She wants to see all of you. The girls rushed past her into the back room. Jacob stayed on the floor, unable to move. Beth knelt beside him. Papa, are you okay? I thought... He couldn't finish. I know. She took his hand. But she's fine. They're both fine. You can breathe now. Jacob let out a shaky laugh. When did you get so grown up? I've always been grown up. You just weren't paying attention. Someone else said that to me recently. Must be true then. Beth pulled him to his feet. Come on. Come meet your daughter. They found Clara propped up against pillows, the baby nestled in her arms. She looked exhausted, pale and sweaty, her hair plastered to her face. But her eyes were bright, shining, alive. The girls surrounded the bed, peering at the tiny bundle. "She's so small," Lily whispered. "She's beautiful," Grace said. "She looks like a raisin," Rosie observed. "Rosie!" Beth swatted her arm. "What, she does?" Clara laughed weakly. "She does a little, but she'll grow into her face." Jacob moved to the bedside. Clara looked up at him, tears streaming down her cheeks. "We did it. You did it." He kissed her forehead. "I just paced and worried." "That counts?" He looked at the baby, at his daughter. Her face was scrunched and red, her fists waving in the air. She had Clara's dark hair and a stubborn set to her jaw that reminded him of Hannah. "She's perfect. She needs a name." Clara shifted the baby so Jacob could hold her. "We never decided on one." Jacob cradled the tiny body against his chest. She weighed nothing, less than nothing. But holding her felt like holding the whole world. "Hope," he said softly. "Her name is Hope." Clara's eyes filled with fresh tears. "That's perfect." "Hope McAllister." Beth tested the name. "I like it." "Me too," Grace added. Even Sarah nodded approval. "Hope." Lily reached up to touch the baby's hand. "Hi, Hope. I'm Lily. I'm your sister." Hope grabbed Lily's finger and held on tight. "She likes me." Lily's face lit up. "Papa, she likes me." "Of course she does." Jacob smiled. "Your family." The word hung in the air. Family. This strange, beautiful, broken, perfect family. Clara reached for his hand. "Thank you." "For what?" "For everything. For saving me. For loving me. For giving her a home." She looked around at the girls, at the small cabin, at the life they'd built from nothing. "For giving us all a home." Jacob kissed her hand. "Thank you for letting me." Outside, the sun was rising. Light streamed through the windows, painting everything gold. A new day, a new life, a new beginning. The wedding happened 3 weeks later. Reverend Hayes came from Miller's Creek, a kind-faced man who'd baptized all 5 of Jacob's daughters. He performed the ceremony in the cabin's main room, surrounded by neighbors and friends. Clara wore a blue dress that Martha Johnson had made from fabric traded for 3 chickens. Her hair was pinned up with wildflowers Grace had insisted. Hope slept in a cradle by the fire, occasionally making soft sounds that made everyone smile. The girls stood in a line beside their father. Beth in her mother's old Sunday dress. Sarah in a new one she'd sewn herself. Grace with flowers in her hair. Rosie practically vibrating with excitement. And Lily clutching her rag doll and trying very hard not to fidget. "Dearly beloved," Reverend Hayes began, "we are gathered here today to join this man and this woman in holy matrimony." Jacob barely heard the words. He was too busy looking at Clara. At this woman who'd stumbled into his barn half dead and somehow brought his whole family back to life. "Do you, Jacob McAllister, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do you part?" "I do." "And do you? Clara Whitmore, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband?" Clara's eyes met Jacob's. In them, he saw everything, the pain she'd survived, the fear she'd conquered, the love she'd found against all odds. "I do." "Then by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife." Reverend Hayes smiled. "You may kiss the bride." Jacob pulled Clara close and kissed her. The room erupted in cheers. "Finally!" Lily shouted. "Does this mean she's our mama now?" Everyone laughed. "Yes, sweetheart." Jacob lifted his youngest daughter into his arms. "She's your mama now." "About time." Sarah's voice cut through, but she was smiling. Actually smiling. "Can we eat cake?" "Sarah," Beth protested. "What, I'm hungry." "We can eat cake," Clara said, laughing. "We can eat all the cake we want." The celebration lasted well into the evening. People ate and drank and danced. Stories were told. Tears were shed. Ezra Blackwood got drunk and sang old Texas songs until his voice gave out. Through it all, Jacob watched his family. Beth dancing with Tom Henderson's oldest son, her face flushed with happiness. Sarah actually laughing at something Grace said. Rosie spinning in circles until she fell dizzy. Lily asleep in Martha Johnson's lap, thumb in mouth. And Clara, his wife, holding their baby daughter while neighbors gathered around to admire. Hannah would have loved this, he thought. Would have loved Clara. Would have loved seeing the girls so happy. As if sensing his thoughts, Clara looked up and caught his eye. She smiled that smile he'd fallen in love with and mouthed 2 words. "Thank you." Jacob smiled back and mouthed 2 words of his own. "Thank you." Later that night, after the guests had gone and the girls were asleep, Jacob and Clara sat on the porch. Hope nestled between them in a bundle of blankets. "So," Clara said, "we're married." "We are." "How does it feel?" "Like coming home." He put his arm around her. "After a very long journey." "I know what you mean." She leaned against his shoulder. "I spent 4 years trapped in a nightmare. Now I'm here with you with the girls, and it feels like—" She searched for the word. "Like waking up." "You are awake." "I know. That's the miracle." She looked up at the stars. "A month ago I was dying in a blizzard, convinced I'd never see another sunrise. Now I have a husband, 6 daughters, a home." 6 daughters. Beth, Sarah, Grace, Rosie, Lily, and Hope. Clara counted on her fingers. "That's 6, unless you're planning on giving some of them away." Jacob laughed. "Not a chance." "Then 6 daughters, all mine." Her voice softened. "I never thought I'd have any." Marcus didn't want children. Marcus wanted heirs. That's different. Clara's jaw tightened. He wanted sons, extensions of himself. He made it very clear that daughters were worthless. He was wrong. "I know that now." She looked at him. "But for a long time I believed him. I believed everything he told me, that I was worthless, that nobody would ever want me, that I was lucky to have him because I'd never do better." "Clara, let me finish." She took a breath. "I believed those things because I'd never known anything different. My parents died when I was young. I grew up in an orphanage where they taught us that girls were meant to be obedient, to serve, to submit. When Marcus came along offering marriage and security, I thought I'd been saved. You were a child. I was 17, old enough to know better." She shook her head. "But I didn't. And by the time I did, it was too late. I was trapped. You got out. Because of you." She turned to face him. "You showed me what love is supposed to look like. Patient, kind, gentle. You never raised your hand, never raised your voice. You asked instead of demanded. You listened instead of lectured. That's just basic decency. Not to me. Not after Marcus." Clara's eyes glistened. "You have no idea how much your basic decency meant. Every time you helped me sit down. Every time you brought me food without being asked. Every time you touched me gently instead of roughly." Jacob felt something twist in his chest. "I'm sorry." "For what?" "For what you went through. For the fact that kindness feels like a miracle to you." He cupped her face in his hands. "You deserve so much more than basic decency, Clara. You deserve everything." "I have everything." She covered his hands with hers. "Right here, right now. This is everything I ever wanted." He kissed her, soft and slow and full of promise. Hope stirred between them, making a small sound of protest. They both laughed. "She has opinions," Clara said. "Wonder where she gets that." "Probably from her father. Me, I'm the reasonable one. You stood down 7 armed men for a woman you'd known 2 weeks. That was different. How? That was love. Jacob grinned. Love makes people unreasonable. Clara shook her head, but she was smiling. You're impossible. You married impossible. Don't remind me. They sat in comfortable silence watching the stars. Hope slept peacefully between them. Inside, the girls dreamed their dreams. Jacob, do you think Hannah knows about us? Jacob was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. I think she knows. I think she's happy. How can you be sure? Because that's who she was. He looked up at the sky. She never wanted me to be alone, never wanted the girls to grow up without a mother. She made Beth promise to make sure I found someone else. Beth told me. Of course she did. Jacob smiled. Hannah picked you, Clara. I really believe that. She saw you lost and hurting, and she guided you to us. You think she sent the blizzard? I think she sent you through it, because she knew you were strong enough to survive. And she knew we needed you as much as you needed us. Clara's tears fell silently. I wish I could have known her. You do know her, through the girls, through me, through everything she taught us about love and family and never giving up. She sounds amazing. She was. And so are you. Jacob pulled her close. Two amazing women. I must be the luckiest man alive. Luck had nothing to do with it. Then what? Clara smiled through her tears. Grace. The word hung in the air between them. Perfect. Complete. Above them, a shooting star streaked across the sky, like a blessing, like a promise. Like Hannah saying goodbye and hello and I love you all at once. Jacob held his wife, his daughter, his hope. And for the first time in a very long time, everything felt right. 6 weeks of peace. 6 weeks of learning to be a family. 6 weeks of laughter and tears and small moments that meant everything. Clara learned to bake bread the way Hannah used to. Beth taught her the recipe standing beside her in the kitchen, guiding her hands through the kneading. You're pressing too hard. Am I? Bread is like people. You can't force it to rise. You have to be patient. Clara smiled. When did you become so wise? I've always been wise. Nobody listens. Sarah started calling Clara Mama on the 3rd week. Just once by accident when she burned her finger on the stove. The word slipped out before she could stop it. Clara froze. Sarah froze. I didn't mean... It's okay. Clara pulled her close. It's more than okay. After that, the word came easier. Then Grace started using it. Then Rosie. Even Lily, who'd never really understood why her first mama went away, began calling Clara Mama, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Hope grew bigger every day. She had Clara's eyes and Jacob's stubbornness. She cried when she was hungry, laughed when her sisters made faces at her, and slept through anything short of a thunderstorm. She's going to be trouble, Ezra observed during one of his visits. She's already trouble. Jacob lifted his daughter from her cradle. But she's our trouble. Wouldn't have it any other way. The ranch flourished. The sheep survived the winter. The spring lambs came healthy and strong. Jacob fixed the fence he'd been putting off for months. Clara planted a garden behind the cabin. Life settled into something like routine. Something like happiness. Something like forever. Then the letter came. It arrived on a Tuesday afternoon, delivered by a rider from Helena. Official seal. Heavy paper. The kind of letter that changed lives. Clara's hands trembled as she opened it. Jacob watched her face go white. What is it? She couldn't speak. She handed him the letter. He read it twice before the words made sense. Marcus is dead. Clara nodded slowly. How? Shot. By one of his business partners. Her voice was hollow. Apparently he cheated the wrong man. The partner confronted him. Marcus drew his gun. The partner was faster. Jacob set the letter down. Are you okay? I don't know. Clara sank into a chair. I should feel something. Relief. Joy. Something. But I just feel empty. That's normal. Is it? He hurt you for years. He nearly killed you. It's okay to feel conflicted about his death. I'm not conflicted. Clara looked up. I'm glad he's dead. That's what scares me. I'm glad another human being is dead, and I don't feel guilty about it at all. You shouldn't feel guilty. Shouldn't I? Isn't that what good people feel? Jacob knelt beside her. Good people feel what they feel. You spent 4 years being terrorized by that man. You nearly died escaping him. He came here with armed men to drag you back. He took her hands. Being glad he can't hurt you anymore doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you human. Clara's eyes filled with tears. What if I'm becoming like him? What? Cold, hard, unable to feel compassion. Clara. Jacob's voice was firm. You are nothing like him. You never could be. The fact that you're worried about it proves that. How can you be sure? Because I've seen you with the girls. I've seen you hold hope like she's the most precious thing in the world. I've seen you comfort Sarah when she has nightmares. I've seen you cry over a sick lamb. He touched her face. Marcus Whitmore never cared about anyone but himself. You care about everyone but yourself. That's the difference. Clara let out a shaky breath. I love you. I love you too. He kissed her forehead. Now stop worrying about being a bad person and start being relieved that you never have to look over your shoulder again. She laughed weakly. I'll try. That's all I ask. The news spread quickly through the valley. By the end of the week, everyone knew that Marcus Whitmore was dead. Some people came by to offer condolences, unsure whether Clara was mourning or celebrating. Most came to celebrate with her. Good riddance, Martha Johnson declared, setting a pie on the table. The world's better off without men like him. Amen to that, Ezra agreed. Can we stop talking about dead people? Rosie asked. It's making Lily scared. I'm not scared, Lily protested. You're holding my hand really tight. That's because I love you. That's not why, and you know it. Clara smiled at her daughters. Her daughters. The word still felt like a miracle every time she thought it. Girls, why don't you take Hope outside? It's a beautiful day. Can I hold her? Grace asked. If you sit down and let Beth help you. The girls trooped outside, arguing about who would hold the baby first. Clara watched them go, her heart full. You done good, Mrs. McAllister. Martha patted her hand. Done real good. I got lucky. Luck had nothing to do with it. Ezra stood, stretching his old bones. You survived. You fought. You built something beautiful from the ashes of something terrible. That ain't luck. That's strength. Thank you, Ezra. Don't thank me. Just keep being happy. That's thanks enough. After the visitors left, Clara found Jacob in the barn, brushing down his horse. You've been quiet all day. He didn't look up. Just thinking. About how close we came to losing everything. His hand stilled on the horse's flank. If Marcus had been faster, if his men hadn't run, if the neighbors hadn't come. He shook his head. I keep playing it over in my mind, all the ways it could have gone wrong. Clara moved to stand beside him. But it didn't go wrong. This time. What does that mean? It means the world is dangerous. Jacob finally looked at her. It means there are men like Marcus everywhere. Men who take what they want and destroy what they can't have. And I can't always protect you from them. You don't have to protect me from everything. I want to. I know. She took his hand. But that's not how life works. You can't control everything. You can't prevent every bad thing from happening. Then what can I do? Love me. Love the girls. Be here present alive. She squeezed his fingers. That's all any of us can do. Jacob was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled her into his arms. When did you get so wise? I've always been wise. Nobody listens. He laughed. Beth says the same thing. Where do you think she learned it? They held each other in the quiet barn surrounded by the smell of hay and horses. Outside they could hear the girls laughing, hope crying, life going on. I'm scared, Jacob admitted quietly. Of what? Of losing this. All of it. He tightened his grip. I lost Hannah. I almost lost myself. Now I have you and Hope and this beautiful crazy family, and I keep waiting for something to take it away. Nothing's going to take it away. You can't promise that. No. Clara pulled back to look at him. But I can promise that whatever comes, we'll face it together. You're not alone anymore, Jacob. Neither am I. That's what family means. Family. Yes. She smiled. This strange, beautiful, impossible family we've built. It's ours. And nobody, not Marcus, not fear, not death itself, can take that away from us. Jacob looked at her. At this woman who'd walked through hell to find him, who'd given him hope when he'd forgotten what hope felt like. I don't deserve you. Probably not. She kissed him softly. But you're stuck with me anyway. Best thing that ever happened to me. Second best. Clara patted her stomach. Speaking of which, Jacob's eyes went wide. Are you? I think so. She was smiling now, tears in her eyes. I wasn't sure, but Mrs. Johnson confirmed it this morning. You're pregnant. Yes. Again. That's usually how it works. Jacob let out a whoop that startled the horses. He lifted Clara off her feet and spun her around, laughing like a man who'd just discovered gold. Put me down. She was laughing too. You'll make me sick. I don't care. We're having another baby. Jacob. He set her down but didn't let go. His face was split in the biggest grin she'd ever seen. Another baby. Another baby. The girls are going to lose their minds. Probably. Hope's not even 6 months old. I know. We're going to need a bigger cabin. I know. I love you. I know that too. He kissed her again. Longer this time. Deeper. How do you feel? Terrified. She laughed. Happy. Overwhelmed. All of it at once. Welcome to parenthood. I'm already a mother of 6. 7 now. Jacob placed his hand on her belly. 7 children. Can you imagine? I'm trying not to. Too late, he grinned. You married a rancher. We like big families. I'm starting to notice that. They walked back to the cabin hand in hand. The girls were on the porch taking turns holding Hope. Beth looked up as they approached. What's wrong? You both look weird. Nothing's wrong. Clara glanced at Jacob. We have news. What kind of news? The kind that means you're going to have another sibling. Silence. Then chaos. A baby! Rosie screamed. Another one! Sarah's jaw dropped. That's so many babies, Grace said. I want a brother this time, Lily announced. Beth just smiled, that knowing smile that made her look so much like Hannah. I knew it. I could tell by the way you've been eating. How have I been eating? Everything, constantly, like when Mama was pregnant with Lily. Clara blushed. I thought I was being subtle. You weren't. Beth crossed to hug her. Congratulations. I'm happy for you. For us, Clara corrected. This baby is for all of us. Another sister to take care of. Sarah groaned, but she was smiling. Just what I needed. Could be a brother, Jacob pointed out. Could be. Sarah shrugged. Either way, I'm not changing diapers. Yes, you are. Papa, family helps family. That's not fair. Life isn't fair. Get used to it. Sarah rolled her eyes, but didn't argue. Lily tugged at Clara's dress. Mama. The word still made Clara's heart skip. Yes, sweetheart. Where do babies come from? Everyone froze. That's a complicated question. Clara shot Jacob a desperate look. Don't look at me. He raised his hands. You're the mother. Coward? Absolutely. They come from God, Beth said smoothly. He puts them in mamas' bellies when he thinks families need more love. Lily considered this. So God thinks we need more love. Something like that. Okay. Lily accepted this with the simple faith of a 3-year-old. Can I have a cookie? After dinner. But I want one now. Lily. Please. Clara sighed. 7 children. She was going to have 7 children. What had she gotten herself into? But looking at them, at Beth's quiet wisdom and Sarah's fierce loyalty, and Grace's gentle heart, and Rosie's boundless energy, and Lily's stubborn joy, she knew she wouldn't change a thing. This was her family, her home, her life, and it was perfect. Summer came slowly to the valley. The snow melted, the flowers bloomed, the sheep grew fat on new grass, and Clara grew rounder by the day. You're beautiful, Jacob told her every morning. I'm enormous. Beautifully enormous. That's not a compliment. It is to me. The new baby came in August on a day so hot that even the horses refused to move. Clara's labor was easier this time, faster, less frightening. By evening, she was holding another daughter in her arms. Another girl. Jacob shook his head, laughing. I'm surrounded. You love it. I do. He kissed the baby's forehead. What should we call her? Clara looked at the tiny face so new to the world. Then she looked at Jacob. Faith. Faith. Because that's what got us here. Faith that things would get better. Faith that love would find a way. Faith that we were meant to be a family. Jacob's eyes glistened. Faith McAllister. I like it. Faith and hope. Beth appeared in the doorway, the other girls crowding behind her. That's poetic. Can we see her? Grace pushed forward. Gently. She's very small. The girls gathered around the bed, peering at their newest sister. Hope, now 6 months old, watched from Beth's arms, apparently unimpressed by the competition. She's tiny, Rosie whispered. You were tiny once too, Sarah reminded her. Was not. Were too. Girls. Clara's voice was tired but happy. No fighting. Not today. Sorry, Mama. Lily climbed onto the bed, snuggling against Clara's side. I love her. You haven't even met her properly yet. Don't care. She's my sister. I love her. Clara felt tears prick her eyes. How had she gotten so lucky? A year ago she'd been trapped in a nightmare, convinced she'd never escape. Now she had a husband who adored her, 7 daughters who filled her days with chaos and joy, a home where she was safe and loved and wanted. Mama. Beth sat on the edge of the bed. Are you okay? I'm perfect. Clara wiped her eyes. I'm absolutely perfect. You're crying. Happy tears. She pulled Beth close. I never thought I'd have this. Any of this. A family. A home. People who love me. We've always loved you, Grace said seriously, from the very first day. Even when you looked like a frozen ghost, Rosie added helpfully. Rosie. Beth swatted her. What? She did, Clara laughed. She's not wrong. I didn't think you looked like a ghost. Sarah's voice was quiet. I thought you looked like someone who needed help, like someone we were supposed to find. The room went quiet. Sarah rarely spoke about her feelings. This was the most she'd said in months. That night, she continued, when Papa brought you inside, I was angry. I thought he was trying to replace Mama. I thought if we helped you, it meant we were forgetting her. Sarah, let me finish. Sarah's jaw tightened. But I was wrong. You didn't make us forget Mama. You helped us remember her. The way you braid Grace's hair, that's how Mama did it. The way you sing to Lily at night, those are Mama's songs. The way you love Papa. Her voice cracked. That's how Mama loved him. With everything. Clara was crying openly now. I'm glad you came to us. Sarah met her eyes. I'm glad you're our Mama now. And I know Mama would be glad too, because all she ever wanted was for us to be happy. She took a shaky breath. And we are. Because of you. Clara opened her arms. Sarah hesitated for just a moment, then she fell into them. Thank you, Clara whispered. Thank you for letting me be part of your family. You're not part of our family. Sarah pulled back her face fierce. You are our family. The other girls piled onto the bed surrounding Clara and baby Faith in a tangle of arms and legs and love. Jacob stood in the doorway watching. What are you doing over there? Clara called. Just looking. At what? At everything I almost lost. His voice was rough. At everything I almost threw away. He crossed to the bed, somehow finding room among his 7 daughters. He put his arm around Clara and looked at the tiny baby in her arms. Faith and hope, he said softly. That's what you gave us, Clara. That's what you brought into this family. I didn't bring anything. I just showed up half dead in your barn. You brought everything. He kissed her temple. You brought light into our darkness. You brought love into our grief. You brought yourself. Jacob. Let me finish. He took her hand. A year ago I was dying. Not my body, my soul. I'd given up on everything. On God, on life, on happiness. I was just waiting to follow Hannah. Papa, Beth whispered. But then Beth prayed. She prayed for God to send us an angel. And the next morning there you were. Jacob's voice broke. Frozen. Dying. But there. In our barn. Like a miracle. I'm not an angel. You are to us. He looked around at his daughters. You saved me, Clara. You saved all of us. And I will spend the rest of my life being grateful. Clara couldn't speak. She could only hold him surrounded by their children, their family, their love. Outside the sun was setting. Golden light streamed through the windows, painting everything in warm colors. The sheep bleated in the pasture. A bird sang in the willow tree where Hannah was buried. And in the small cabin on the edge of nowhere, a family sat together, whole and happy, and finally at peace. Because some prayers take years to answer. Some angels arrive in the darkest moments. And some families are made not from blood, but from choice, from the stubborn, beautiful decision to love again when love seems impossible. Jacob McAllister had learned that truth the hard way, and he would spend the rest of his life proving it was worth every moment of pain. Not because he had to, but because he chose to. Every single day. Forever.